Yesterday we followed the road of the moon. We drove all day towards the coast. It remembered me the beauty of this life. Such a feeling to be alive.
We take almost 250,000 tonnes of food waste from anywhere from households to manufacturing plants to retailers, and we transform it here into renewable energy, and as a byproduct of that we also produce a fertiliser that goes back on the field, so a true closed loop process.
So this particular plant will take around 45,000 tonnes of food waste in a year and generate around 45,000 megawatt hours of electricity, which is enough to power around 40,000 homes. This is where all the food first arrives from, wherever it's come from, whether it's come from someone's home or from manufacturing or from a restaurant, and it'll be brought in here in big trucks. The guys will tip it on the floor,
Yep.
Mix it up. The more it's mixed, the better it is for the process.
So once it's been dumped here, how long does it sit here before it goes into process?
Ideally, it doesn't sit on the floor for any more than a day. The fresher it is, the more calorific value, so the more gas we can generate.
Right. So you take it from here and then it goes into the process behind me. What happens here?
The mobile equipment will pick it up in a bucket and transport it into the hoppers that you can see behind you. And in those hoppers it will be mixed, and then it's slowly fed into a big machine that pulverizes it into as smaller particle as possible.
Okay.
And then liquid is fed into it, so it creates a slurry, a pumpable liquid.
All right, now we've seen inside the process of receiving the food waste, mangling it up and turning it into a kind of slurry, and then it comes outside into these tanks. So what happens in that process?
The first part of the process is the liquid will go into the raw waste tank, and there it's mixed and blended together, and then it's slowly fed into the two tool digestion tanks, where it'll digest over a period of 35 to 40 days, generating methane. That methane is then pumped to the gas holder, which is the green bubble you see. There the gas is mixed and transported to the engines, which turn it into electricity.
Okay, so that's where the green electricity is that you create and you feed into the grid, but presumably you're left behind with all of that waste and slurry. What happens to that?
Once we've used all of the gas from the liquid is then sent to a pasteurizer, where it is cooked at 70 degrees to kill off any pathogens or any germs remaining in the process. And then that liquid is then stored in tanks, and there it will stay until it's needed for the local fields around us, where it's spread as a nitrogen-rich bio-fertiliser. This product has actually proved very beneficial to the farmers. Over tests, they've managed to gain a much higher yield from the digestate fertiliser that they've used from our process compared to a chemical fertiliser that they've used in the past.
When I look at this process that we've seen here today, it's ticking a lot of boxes, it's doing a lot of things right, it's solving a lot of problems. Why hasn't this gone to scale?
It requires legislative support. There are incentives that we use to effectively fund the plant over the long term. One of the barriers really, again, for this specific industry is how do you get more food waste out of that 10 million tonnes? It's a huge problem for the UK, it's a huge problem for the world. If you look at Scotland and Wales, both of those sort of sets of authorities have done a really good job in forcing food waste out of landfill. If I look at where food waste goes today, there is still a huge amount that goes to landfill, typically out of our householders' bags. There's a huge amount that goes to incineration, which arguably scientifically is not the right thing to do. So we've got to do more. There's still millions of tonnes out there to go after.